Alright, let's talk about Ukraine. It feels like this story has been on our screens longer than a Friends rerun marathon, and it's a lot less funny. But here we are, November 6th, 2025, and this brutal conflict is still raging. Why should you care? Because this war is a stress test for the global order, affecting security, energy prices, and the rules that keep the world from chaos. This isn't just a regional fight, it's a direct challenge to the idea that borders matter and might doesn't make right. What happens in Ukraine ripples out to your gas pump, your grocery bill, and the principles that keep the world stable. The story's gotten complicated, shifting alliances, battlefield innovations, and political drama on a global scale. Understanding this conflict is key to understanding the precarious world we live in. So, let's dive in, how it started, how it's changed, and why it matters more than ever. Buckle up, this is a story of resilience, politics, and the grim reality of modern war. Before the chaos of 2022, there was the 8-year prequel, the Donbas War. It began in 2014, after Ukrainians ousted their pro-Russian president. Russia responded by annexing Crimea and fueling a separatist war in eastern Ukraine. The world condemned it, but mostly watched from the sidelines as over 14,000 lives were lost in a grinding, trench-filled conflict. Ukraine fought a shadow war against a nuclear neighbor that denied involvement, while international aid was limited and cautious. The US sent non-lethal aid at first, then, under Trump, began sending Javelin missiles, a slow shift, but still measured. This long conflict transformed Ukraine's military from a neglected force into a battle-hardened, modern army. They learned to fight hybrid war, tanks, cyber attacks, disinformation. The Donbas was a tragic training ground, forging the resilience and tactics that would shock the world in 2022. Ukraine was toughened, but no one knew the worst was yet to come. The stage was set for a much bigger war. February 24, 2022, Russia launched a massive invasion aiming to topple Ukraine's government. The plan, a quick decapitation strike. The reality, Ukrainian resistance stopped them cold. Russian tanks rolled toward Kyiv, expecting an easy win, but met fierce opposition and logistical disasters. Viral videos of Ukrainian farmers towing away Russian tanks became symbols of defiance. The 40-mile convoy stalled, cities like Mariupol were destroyed, and evidence of war crimes shocked the world. Millions fled, creating Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II. The invasion united NATO, pushed Finland and Sweden to join, and forced Germany to boost defense spending. Putin's gamble backfired. He failed to capture Ukraine and instead strengthened his adversaries. The war became a fight for Ukraine's survival and a turning point for global security. Russia's miscalculation changed everything. As Russia invaded, Western military aid to Ukraine surged. The US led the way, sending over $66 billion in military assistance, more than most countries' entire defense budgets. Ukraine received HIMARS rocket systems, howitzers, Abrams tanks, Bradleys, Strykers, and crucial air defenses like Patriot batteries. Javelin missiles became icons of resistance. Aid arrived fast through the Presidential Drawdown Authority, and more was ordered for the long haul. This flood of weapons let Ukraine halt Russia's advance and launch stunning counteroffensives. Without Western arms, Ukraine likely wouldn't have survived the initial onslaught. HIMARS, in particular, forced Russia to rethink its entire strategy. Advanced Western tech, in skilled hands, leveled the playing field against a larger foe. The river of weapons changed the war's trajectory. Then came the 2024 US election and a dramatic policy shift. The Trump administration replaced Biden's steady support with skepticism and an America First approach. Aid was paused in July 2025, sending shockwaves through Kyiv and Europe. After tense negotiations, aid resumed, but the message was clear: the blank check era was over. The new plan? NATO allies would send weapons from their own stockpiles and the US would backfill them, shifting the financial burden to Europe. This was also a push for a negotiated settlement. Trump threatened Russia with tariffs if it didn't agree to peace talks. The US made it clear the war needed to end one way or another. The shift exposed how fragile Ukraine's lifeline was and forced Europe to step up. The Trump approach was unpredictable, transactional, and a stark contrast to coalition building. The world watched as US policy became a wild card in the conflict. Ukraine's future now depended on a volatile mix of diplomacy and shifting alliances. The stakes had never been higher. As US support wavered, Europe realized it had to take charge. European nations, once content to follow Washington's lead, now faced a harsh reality. Their security was on the line. In April 2025, Europe pledged an extra 21 billion euros in military aid. Germany, once reluctant, became a top backer, sending major weapons packages. The new NATO backfilling plan forced Europe to put its money where its mouth was. To fully replace US aid, Europe would need to double its annual support, raising tough questions about funding. Ideas included seizing frozen Russian assets and expanding EU funding mechanisms. But this was more than money, it was a psychological shift. NATO, under Mark Rutte, took over as the main coordinator, and European leaders became more assertive. The crisis forged a new sense of unity and strategic autonomy in Europe. Europe was finally stepping up, not just as a sidekick, but as a leader. The war forced Europe to grow up, fast. So, where are we now, late 2025? The front line is a brutal stalemate. Russia throws manpower and artillery at the problem, but at a huge cost. Its economy is strained, and its arsenal depleted. Ukraine, battered but resilient, faces manpower shortages, with an aging front line. But Ukraine has become a world leader in drone warfare, producing millions of drones that have changed the battlefield. Cheap drones now account for most casualties, leveling the odds against Russia's numbers. In the Black Sea, Ukraine's sea drones devastated Russia's fleet, reopening vital grain shipping lanes. Despite hardship, Ukrainian morale remains high. Most refuse to cede territory for peace. The humanitarian crisis is dire. Millions displaced, vast areas mined. Peace talks are on the horizon, but a just resolution remains elusive. Ukraine stands bloodied, but unbowed, fighting for its existence. The world is watching, waiting for what comes next. The story isn't over, but Ukraine's resilience is undeniable.